The Nintendo Switch is one of the highest selling consoles of all time. It's already outsold the 360 and the PlayStation 3 and is on track to outsell the Wii and the PlayStation 4. But what games do you think of when you hear the Switch? Probably like Breath of the Wild, Animal Crossing New Horizons, or Super Mario Odyssey. All incredibly valid and awesome games. But what games do you not think about? Specifically, what genre? For me, it's gotta be turn-based RPGs, mainly because they're not fun. But you might think of shooters. Shooters have exploded in popularity since the 360 and PlayStation 3 era, and that is largely due to part of the, interesting ecosystem that the online play gave to it. Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3 became two of the most iconic games within that generation because of PSN and Xbox Live. Being able to jump into a party and play with your friends from the comfort of your own homes together brought a sense of unity and has probably even saved multiple friendships. I know that it saved a few of mine, and it's still how some of me and my friends stay connected. Unfortunately, I lost touch with it as I became closer to Nintendo, and I bought Black Ops 2 not for the 360, not for the PS3, but the Wii U. I will die on the hill that Black Ops 2 on the Wii U was incredible. And the game still sells for a pretty high amount. It's like $50. And it's like 9 years old. To be honest, still kind of worth it for just the campaign. And the reason why I'm talking about this right now is because all over the internet, you hear people saying that there's no shooters on the Switch. And I just gotta disagree with that. Yes, we don't have nearly as many as there were on consoles 10 years ago, but one, it was a cash grab at the time. Two, there seems to be a bit more quality control on the Switch. Yeah, quality control. Of course, you're not going to see Halo or Killzone as their exclusives on their respective consoles. I do think that the Switch could handle the Master Chief Collection. It's a damn shame that it's like 150 gigabytes though. It's like more storage than it'll ever have. But we still have a plethora of shooters on the Switch, and that's what I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And the best part, a lot of them are free. I even did a video about free eShop games about a year ago. If you want to see that, check that out right there. And I understand games like Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row could be considered shooters, but they're not going to be on this list. Like, you wouldn't call a Lego game a shooter, and you might say, ooh, they're totally different. And really, how so? You got guns, and it's a free roam game, and like, that's the only connections I got. And I'm going to be talking about the games that I played. I know there's tons more shooters on the Switch than the ones on this list, but I don't have time to talk about all of them. So yeah, let's jump into it. But before we jump into it, dudes and dudettes, be sure to click that like and subscribe button, and let me know down in the comment section below, what is your favorite shooter on the Switch? And also be sure to hit that notification bell so that way you know whenever I post a new video. My next video, I'm going to be playing through the first hour and a half or so of Revenge of the Sith. So if you want to see that, hit that notification bell. Anyways, back to the video. Do I really need to talk about this one? Nintendo heard the cries of fans pleading for a shooter, and we got this. You're this weird human squid cross-species abomination that could hide into paint, and you gotta cover as much of the turf in paint as possible in order to win. This is just a delight to play. The matches are like 5 minutes max, so you don't have to dedicate a lot of time to it. But being able to pick up and play online games like this is really nice. If I want to get a match or two in before I fall asleep, I could do that. I usually play with my girlfriend whenever we can, and it's such a blast. There's also a single player mode here, but more people will play the COD campaigns before they'll ever touch this. My only real complaint with this game are these god-awful intros. You get whatever is happening in that time frame broadcasted to you, and I do not know a single soul who looks forward to this. Oh boy! Bullshit! Also, you can't really veto a map, so if you're playing for an extended time, you're likely to play on that same map a few times in a row. Nintendo solves this by having the map selections change every 2 to 3 hours, and that's dumb. Why not just give us all of the maps and have us choose what we want to play? Otherwise, still a fun time, and I see it on sale for under $40 more often than not, and we're getting a threequel soon. So yeah, if you don't have $60 to spend on Splatoon 2 or pre-order Splatoon, a good substitute would be Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. There's some things that PvZ does that's even better than Splatoon. The only thing that makes Splatoon and Battle for Neighborville feel similar is that they're cartoony shooters. That's it. Splatoon has that Nintendo charm, and it's easy to just pick up and play, but I think Battle for Neighborville is made with almost a more hardcore gamer mindset. When you're playing Battle for Neighborville, it feels like a current EA game, but in the best way. You get something that feels AAA, and there aren't even any microtransactions here. You get different characters that have different kinds of abilities and different kinds of weapons, and it's also based on the team, whether you're a plant or a zombie. I'm not gonna lie, there were some pretty intense firefights, and thank God no one was home for that. I cannot in good conscience tell my parents that I was getting hyped at me shooting a sunflower. Yeah! Let's go! Let's go! Let's Go! It controls great. My only issue is that you're only really playing this for the multiplayer. Thankfully, they do weekly challenges to help keep returning players invested. And it's also my highest played shooter on the Switch. So weird. From what I've heard, these are supposed to be awesome ports. Who expected these on the Switch? They're the same games that released years ago, just on the Switch. Of course, that means you get the Switch visuals, but that portability, man. World War Z has that same kind of experience that Left 4 Dead brings, and Dying Light brings a compelling narrative and free roaming in a world filled with zombies. To be honest, I haven't played much of these games, but they're the most recent shooters to come out on the Switch, so I had to put them on. Resident Evil is the most iconic horror game series of all time and has countless entries on the Switch, and I only played one of them. Resident Evil 4 is terrifying, atmospheric, and fun. There were a handful of times in the middle of the day where I'd get scared shitless. It's kind of jarring going from 4 to 5, they feel nothing alike. I got the Resident Evil collection for my birthday and I plan to play through all of them, but good lord, you gotta sink hours into these games. If you only get one of them, I still just gotta recommend Resident Evil 4. It's clearly the best one. So Rogue Company is kind of in a league of its own. I only played a few matches, but I thought it was neat at least. It's a 3 versus 3 shooter where you go around as a mercenary and you do your typical shooter things. You drop into a match like you're in a battle royale, but you can respawn. I've only played it a couple of times, but I want to try it out again. It's not terrible, and I do remember enjoying the game other than this fool blasting his music in his mic. Nothing says, I'm a badass, more than playing your shitty trap music into your mic on NSO. Peak alpha male mentality here. To be honest, I only played like 2 matches of this, if that. And I thought it was cool, but it's definitely worth a play for sure. I can't believe I talked more about Rogue Company than Resident Evil. Where's that therapist number again? So this is probably the most unique shooter here because it's not really like a shooter. The best way to describe this is Avatar meets Fortnite. On your main hand, you got your primary element, then on your other hand, you could switch them out. You got water, earth, fire, air. Sound familiar? Lightning, toxin, etc. But it feels familiar to Fortnite with the landscape and how intense some of the one-off matches get. My first round ever, I got first place, and now I know how it feels to peak in life. Who got first place on their first match? Who else got first place on their first match on a BR? I will wait, bro. I will wait. If you happen to ever achieve such a feat, let me know about it down below. I go through phases with this where I'll play a match, delete it, re-download to play a match, and then delete it again. The circle of life. This is an enticing game that I find disappointing that there isn't more of a community here. It's fun and intense, and it checks all the boxes other BRs have. I remember looking back to 2013, watching Ghost Robo play Crysis 3, thinking that this game looked so cool, and in some respects better than Halo. I was also on my We Are Master Race! So don't take it to heart. The atmosphere, weapons, and powers looked so refreshing from what I was so used to playing. So when it was announced that Crysis 1 was dropping on the Switch, I was really excited. And I found myself pretty disappointed, to be honest. This is such a weird franchise. Going from 1 to 2, then to 3 feels so disconnected that having a numerical series like this feels utterly pointless. Each game has you playing as a different character and there's like no connection between them. Assassin's Creed has you playing as different characters with each entry, other than the Ezio trilogy, but they were all connected to Desmond, so that's the foundation that original franchise was based upon. I don't know what Ubisoft is doing with Assassin's Creed, but I really hope they get a grip on it soon. I thought Crysis 2 was slightly above average, and I'm going to be playing through 3 real soon. Overall though, it controls well, has some fun and intense action, and has amazing audio design. But I don't see why there's such a narrative disconnect here. It really bothers me. Imagine going through Halo 1, then 2, then 3 with a different character each time, and each one of those characters having nothing to do with one another and being so similar that they could very well just be the same person. And there's like no reason to ever go back and replay this. There's collectibles? I had no idea about this until I beat the game. Who is playing Crysis and trying to 100% it? And there's straight up just no online multiplayer. But also, why would you play the online here when you could play Warface is created by the same engine that's used for Crysis, so it feels very similar. You even get to play as a Terminator, essentially, that's basically just the nanosuit guy from Crysis. This is also just Diet Call of Duty. It's got that same kind of fun that Call of Duty brings, and it fills that void very well, to the point that you'll forget it's not COD midway through a match. I just wish it was easier to find matches that weren't team deathmatch, because I think the Battle Royale or the free-for-all would be a ton of fun to play. The menu navigation is kinda complicated, and matches can last a long ass time sometimes, being like 15 minutes or something, but it's chill. And to be honest, I'd rather play this than Warzone. I get the appeal to Warzone, and I understand it's a more fun and fleshed out game, but it takes up far less storage than Warzone, and I could play it handheld. Yes, COD Mobile exists, and it's immensely fun. I just find the touchscreen controls to be kind of meh. So yeah, we have this Call of Duty-esque game, but don't get it confused with Call of Juarez Gunslinger is an indie game. I think it is. I don't really know actually. That has you playing as a bounty hunter in the Wild West, and it feels like an old school arcade game that's made for a more modern audience. You gotta rank up points in the levels, and you do that by taking all kinds of different shots, and each level usually ends with an old Wild West draw. The story has you playing as this legendary bounty hunter recalling his golden years to a group in a saloon in this comic book style, and it just makes me so giddy. The comic book style also bleeds into the game's visuals, and it all looks so beautifully hand-drawn. And honestly, I love this. The devs could have easily just done a normal realistic style, but they went that extra mile, and I really appreciate that. The campaign itself is pretty short, but there's a fun arcade mode that has you back to the levels that you just played with a harder difficulty and more enemies. I remember watching this game for so long, hoping, pleading it would have come to the Wii U. Unfortunately, it didn't, but when it jumped on the Switch, I dove headfirst and enjoyed every minute of it. We have a ton of shooters on Switch that are super fun and quirky, but one that's a lot more heavy in tone is the cult classic Bulletstorm is a childhood favorite of mine. I know, yeah, you don't have to say it. I had amazing parents. Bulletstorm is balls to the wall, insane as hell action that's always cranking everything up to 11. I loved it when I first played it, and it's still one of my main go-tos for first-person shooters. They gutted out the online multiplayer mode, which kinda sucked, but they replaced it with F***ing Duke Nukem, yeah! They didn't even rewrite any of the other characters' lines, they just fit Duke into the story, and I think that's honestly better. And I really hope one day that Bulletstorm gets a sequel because I have such a fondness for this game and it's completely ineffable. It feels like a love letter to games like Unreal Tournament, Wolfenstein, and Doom. Hey, speaking of Doom, Doom is the premier arena type shooter, more even so than Halo. This was the OG that completely paved the way for the genre, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion if it weren't for this franchise. And on the Switch, we got 1, 2, 64, 3. Hey, id Software, I think you messed up the order. The Reboot and Eternal. Literally, all the Doom games except for Eternal are in this package, and that's a good ass deal. It's only like 50 bucks, and you gotta take into consideration you could buy Doom 16 on the Switch for 60 bucks. If you don't know what Doom is about, essentially you're the most badass soldier of all time out to kill demons in hell. Real quick, I can't believe when Doom first came out, parents thought it was advocating for devil worship. You can literally rip a demon's head off of its shoulders. What kind of worship is that? It's a badass game, and that's all you need to know. If you're even slightly interested, I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, we have all kinds of shooters on the Switch. Battle Royale, tactical, war simulation, arcade, arena type, but we still got one more to talk about, and it's my favorite one. Easily, without a doubt, my favorite shooter on the Switch. So I remember before ever being allowed to play Halo, my brother and I had Republic Commando, and it is such a joy. This came out in 2005, which was easily the biggest year for Star Wars games. Bounty Hunter, Revenge of the Sith, Battlefront 2, and this. In this, you play as Boss, the leader of Delta Squad, and you have 3 other clone commandos on your team that you go into battle with, and it is so cool. And you give them commands, it really makes you feel like this leader of the squad. This was Halo 5 Guardians before Halo 5 Guardians was Halo 5 Guardians. And this was actually a good game that worked. I played Republic Commando countless times, but I never got to beat it until a month or so before the COVID lockdown. The more I went through it, the more I was getting kind of burnt out. But I was also just trying to go through the game ASAP. No matter what though, Republic Commando will always hold a special place in my heart. And to this day, I'd still love to see some kind of collab between Star Wars and Halo. And they even planned a sequel called Imperial Commando. But unfortunately, it got canceled before Republic Commando could even be released. This is such a coveted sequel, and it's one of the main reasons why I'm making this video. I'd love to see Imperial Commando release. Maybe it could be about the commandos fighting back against the Empire when they want to push that clone initiative out and replace them with normal soldiers. But I want it to be an exclusive, not for the Xbox, not for the PlayStation, but on the Nintendo Switch. And I know we're getting Star Wars Hunters, just hear me out. I feel like PlayStation and Xbox both have so many shooters already that make them more viable options to pick these consoles to play them on. Everyone and their mother is saying, ooh, the Switch doesn't have any shooters, and I'd just like to shut up the naysayers. And plus, being a Switch exclusive would A, make it a lot more profitable, which is why we didn't get Imperial Commando in the first place. Like, they really released a Halo clone exclusively on the Xbox. You dumb for that. B, you don't have to put many resources into it because it's the Switch. It's old ass hardware, so it's very low risk. And C, you stand out because you're Star Wars and you're on the Switch. There's barely any Star Wars games on the Switch and barely any shooters, according to some people, so it would make sense. They would make money. Republic Commando is also really weird on the Switch. When it originally came out, there was an online multiplayer that you could still play, by the way, but on the Switch, you just get the campaign, so it feels kind of lifeless. What makes so many shooters really fun and engaging is that community, and when you got that out, you just feel like you're playing by yourself, and it doesn't really feel like there's a purpose. And when you're playing a game like Republic Commando, where you're the leader of a squad, feeling alone while you're playing is not the kind of feeling you want to have. It makes it feel kind of pointless to have a squad in the first place. When you look back at the Republic Commando multiplayer from 2005, they were offering a ton more than there was in the Halo 2 multiplayer. So I think bringing this multiplayer back in a new game on a new generation of game consoles would be amazing to see. Wait, wasn't Splitgate supposed to come out on the Switch? That would be really cool. I would love to see Splitgate on the Switch. But anyway, dudes and dudettes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button. And let me know down in the comment section below, have you played any of the games that I just spoke about? And which one do you like the most? If there's any that I missed, let me know down below. And yeah, I didn't talk about Hypercharge Unbox or the Metro series because I haven't played the Metro series, even though I got 2033 on my Switch. And Hypercharge Unbox sucks! It's terrible. Do not waste your 20 bucks on it. I promise you, it's not worth it. Do not buy it, please. Anyway, dudes and dudettes, you're never too old or too cool for video games. Major Pineapple out.